Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Funfold Friday. Oh, it's hard to believe that another week has gone by, especially as school's getting closer and closer. I can't believe it. One more week and we're back to school. Wow, the summer's gone by really fast. Well, tonight I have a really fun fold to share with you, and I have a new suite to share with you as well. So this is the mini catalog that goes live next month on September 4th, I believe. Yes, on September 4th. And I can only show you the cover. I can't show you what's inside, but I can show you live product from inside. So I just can't show you the pictures and everything inside the catalog. So tonight, I am going to be making a fun fold using the Regal Flora suite. It's actually the Regal Winter Suite collection. The bundle is the Regal Floral bundle. So this comes with dies. So the dies include this really cool label that actually die cuts two things at once. So you get this frame and you get the label. So you can use them together, you can interchange them, you can mix and match. I'm going to mix and match tonight. And then of course you get the dies to cut out the stamped images as well. And it's a fun stamp set to use. One of the things I really like about this stamp set is it's a distinctive ink stamp set. And what that means is when you stamp your image, you're going to see that you get variation of color. And I love these stamp sets. So I'll be showing you that tonight as I do my stamping and how you're going to get different variations of the shade in your stamped image. The other thing we're using tonight is the designer series paper, and it's just gorgeous. So I pulled out the 6 patterns. So this is one of them, and the back side is just this beautiful cherry cobbler floral image. And then here we have a wild wheat pattern. And on the back side we have a pretty peacock plaid. Here we have another floral pattern, and on the back we have beautiful Night of Navy Misty Moonlight floral pattern. Oh, I love this one. This is the one I made the sample with, and I'll show you the sample in just a minute. And we have a beautiful Blackberry Bliss paper on the other side. Here is another piece that's like that with some purples and then some pretty peacock on the back. This is the piece we're going to use tonight with the cherry cobbler, and it has a wild wheat plaid on the other side. So for material you are going to need tonight, I'm going to be using 2 pieces of basic white, and they both measure at 3 3/4 by 5 inches, so you'll need 2 of those. You're going to need just a scrap strip. This one is a 1/2 inch in diameter in width to stamp our greeting on. You're going to need a large piece of designer series paper. This piece measures 9.5 inches by 12. We'll be scoring this. And you're going to need a piece of 1 inch by 12. We'll probably be trimming a little bit of this off, but you will need that. And then you're going to need 2 smaller strips, and we're going to be scoring these as well. And these measure 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches. So we'll be scoring these 2 pieces. Let me show you the card we're going to make tonight. It is just gorgeous. Now, I did not create this fun fold. I did create this card. This is my design, but it's not a fun fold I created on my own. I went to a a card making online retreat last weekend, and one of the speakers, her name is Elinat Kessler. She was demonstrating this fun fold, and it's called a flat fold box fun fold. How I made it different, I kind of made it my own, was that she had it this way. I turned it to the side and I added this. I used designer series paper instead of cardstock, and I just designed this great label. So let me take the belly band off. I love belly bands because it makes you feel like you're opening a present, and especially so with this card. So when you open it up, it's in the shape of a box, and if you can see on the video, there are pop-ups on the inside on that piece of white cardstock. So pretty cool. So one of those pieces of basic white goes on the inside, and then I added one to the back for any writing that you're going to want to do on this card. Okay, so let's set this aside so that we can get started. All right, so let's start with our scoring. Let me just get my scoring tool out. My scoreboard. It is one of the things I use quite a bit in my crafting. And let me just grab my stylus tool. So to start with, I am going to start by scoring on the 9.5 inch side. And I'm going to score at 2 inches. And I'm going to score at 7.5 inches. I'm going to rotate it to the 12-inch side, and I am going to be scoring at 2 inches, 4 inches, 8 inches, and 10 inches. All right, that's the scoring for the larger piece. Now, for these two smaller pieces, just grab them. These are the 3/4 inches by 3.5 inch, and we're going to be scoring this at 1 inch. We're going to be scoring it at 1.5 inches. We're going to be scoring it at 2.5 inches, and then at 3 inches. We're going to be making a little rectangle out of this. So let me do the same thing on the other piece. So again, I am scoring it at 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and then at 3 inches. There we go. So we can put the scoreboard away. We're all done with that. And let's get started. So to create this fold, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut up to the second score line on both ends, on the 9.5 inch end. So let me just get my paper snips. And I'm going to go about halfway on this second piece, and I'm going to cut it off. And then I am just going to trim off these edges so that it's going to fold easier. And I'm going to do this on all 4 sides. These will be my flaps that will fold in. Just going to miter these edges. And then we'll flip it over and we're going to do the same over here. just doesn't look perfectly straight, it wouldn't really have mattered, but it mattered to me, so. Okay, so that's all cut. Let's get rid of our scraps. Get those out of the way. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start folding and burnishing these score lines. Now, every time I make this card, I seem to fold it the wrong way, and then I have to do it the other way. So you can decide if you want the flowers to be on the outside or if you want the inside pattern to be on the outside. What I liked was having the flowers on the outside flaps and then on the inside of the box, and having the back side of the designer series paper on the outside because it's just going to be covered up. So I wanted the flower edge to show. Okay. So this is a really cool fold. It gives you enough room where if you wanted to put a gift card in, a little note, but it also gives the recipient a really nice surprise when they open up the card. So that's just something that I find I really like. So I'm just going to fold these areas as well, and we're going to be making this into a little rectangle, and I'm going to be using glue to adhere it, the liquid glue, so I want to just do this first so it will have time to dry. This is going to be our pop-up mechanism. So it's just forming this little rectangle. Give us space to put the flowers that I'm going to add to this mechanism. Just adds another little element of surprise. There we go. So those can sit and dry, and we can start putting together our box. So this is going to, so if I want it to be on this on the inside, I'm going to want this to be top because it's going to fold. So I'm going to make a mountain fold and then a valley fold so that this will fold over on the front, and I'm just going to give it another nice burnish, and I'm going to do the same thing over here, and these edges will come together nicely. Now this is what's going to be folding inward, and I'm going to take and bring the edge of my paper like this, so that the flaps are like this is going to be, did it backwards again. There we go. We fold that on the inside like that. So I find it easier to fold it this way first and then I turn it. So I'm going to line up my score lines. But what we're making right now is the mechanism that's going to go on the inside of our card. So this will be folded in like that, but I'm going to want it folded in on this side because I want my card to be the floral image to be on the inside. So this is going to attach right here on the side, like that. All right, so let me add some glue. I'm going to be using glue again on this. And it will give it time to dry while we do our stamping and put everything together. So we're really just putting together an open box. So I'm just adhering that on the inside. I'm going to add my next bit of glue. I feel the liquid glue adds it's just going to hold it better with the amount of times it's going to be opened and shut. The liquid glue just is going to, I think, stay in place a little more. You can see how that's going to fold right down. Now we'll just do the other sides to make that box. I'm just going to turn it on its side again to add the glue. And then just one more side left. Sorry, I seem to keep going off camera as I'm rubbing these sides together. So there we go. I'm going to let it dry, but it's going to fold like that. So this will be the front of our card. So I'm going to open it up and just let it finish drying. And now we'll do our stamping. So I've got a whole bunch of scraps of paper here. Close my glue. So I'm going to start with, I am going to need, so I'm using for ink, Cherry Cobbler, Night of Navy, and Shaded Spruce. So I'm going to start with the Cherry Cobbler, and I am going to need 3 of these flowers stamped. And I just want to hold this up to show you what I mean by the, sorry, so bad at this, what I mean by the distinctive ink. And you can see how there are spots where there's white, there are spots where it's darker, spots where it's lighter. And that's what the distinctive ink does. It's just so cool. Okay. Next, we're going to be stamping some of the greenery in the Shaded Spruce. So I have room right here to get one of them. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to need 3 more. While I have this out, I'm going to get the other greenery. And I'm going to need a total of 4 of these. There we go. And then, let me just clean one of my stamps. I'm going to also use that floral image in Night of Navy. There we go. So for Night of Navy, I am going to be stamping 2 of these large trios. And there's dies for all of these, so we'll be cutting them out. And 1 of these. All right. Now, finally, we have to stamp our greeting. So I'm going to do that in Cherry Cobbler. Let me just move these out of the way. We're going to be stamping the Miss You on the 1/2-inch piece of paper. So it just says Missing You. It's all inked up. There we go. And then inside our box, we're going to have Sending Love Your Way. Now, if I wanted to write anything on this, I would need to do it before I put it in my box. But that's why I'm using this other piece, so that I have this on the back. All right, so now this is looking really good. I am going to just take some adhesive and I'm going to put this right on the inside of the box, and I'm just going to center it. There we go. So that's on the inside of our box. And now what I'm going to do is attach my 2 rectangles so that I can add my pop-ups. And I'm going to be putting one here and one down here. So they're not going to be right across from each other, but they're going to be close. So I am going to be adding glue onto the bottom and onto the side. I'll show you that in just a minute since I took my hand out of view. So I'm going to push that right up against the edge, and I am going to attach it to the bottom and the back. So I'm just going to hold that there for a minute. It will, when we close the box, close right down. And then, so I'm going to be putting the glue on this back piece here and the bottom piece. And I'm going to bring it in so it's touching the wall of the box and the bottom. Okay, and so it will close flat when both of those are in. All right, now next, I have to die cut all of this, and I have already done that. So let me show you what I've already prepared, just so that this wouldn't be too long. So I cut out this little floral image in basic white. I cut the label out in basic white and in cherry cobbler. I die cut the 4 little sprigs along with the other 4 leaves. I die cut 1 in Night of Navy and 2 in Night of Navy, and then 3 in the cherry cobbler. So now I can start putting this together. So the first thing that I'm going to do, because I want this to become one label. Now I could just put some tape back here, but you're going to be able to see the back of this. So I am going to start by putting some of my dimensionals. And I'm going to put a dimensional right here. I'm going to go right in the middle because this is going to go onto our, and I'm covering that so it's going to hold this piece on. And then as I put my images on, they're going to be attaching these pieces as well. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to put 2 of these right here, and then this is going to go over it like that. Then I'm going to put a cherry cobbler here. Well, actually, I should put my greenery down first. I'm going to have a piece going this way and this way. And then a piece here, and this one will go up on dimensionals, and then we'll slide in the label. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to be adding some adhesive to all of these so that it's going to help hold this frame in place. There we go. All right, and then we're going to take this, and it's going to go just like that. All right, now our other greenery. And then we'll take another piece and just add some adhesive, some Stampin seal. There we go. And our first floral piece is going to go right here. And our second one we're going to put up with a couple of dimensionals. This is going to be such a pretty label. There we go. Here's what it looks like so far. And now to add our greeting. So I'm going to keep this edge just the way it is because we're going to be actually I'm going to cut both of these. So my little trick is always lining up my paper, taking that piece so I end up with the same so I end up with the same angle there. So I'm going to be slipping this in like that. And then I'm going to put a couple more dimensionals on the back for when we put it on our belly band. Okay, so this part is all done. We'll just set that aside so it's out of the way. And now with the rest of our goodies, we're going to put together for the inside. So I am going to build up. I need something that's going to attach to that rectangle. So I'm going to build up, and I'll just remind you what the inside looked like. I'm going to build up this bottom flower arrangement onto that piece of the white flowers that I die cut so that it will go centered right over that piece. And then I'll build that one up too. So for this one, I am going to be adding the flowers, so it's going to look like this. I'm going to keep things because I don't want it falling off the edge of this, because I want it to be able to not be crushed into the seam of the card. So I'm going to attach this just like that. And then let's see, I put one set of leaves up behind it like this, and I have the other set of leaves coming out of the side, so I'm putting those right behind. So I'm going to just put a little adhesive on the front of these. So that, again, I don't want it going any more on this side. That's going to be going up into the fold of the card. So we have that, and then we're going to take this blue piece and I'm going to put it right here, so you can still see the flowers. But it's just going to add a little extra to it. There we go. And then this piece, whoops, wrong card, is going to sit right on that, inside the card. So I'm going to put a little glue, some of the liquid glue, right on the top of this. And then adhere this. So to keep it in place, I'm just going to fold that down and hold it for a minute so that it will adhere to the mechanism. And while I'm letting that set, I'm going to make up my next piece, which is going to look something like this. And as you can see, I put this more sideways and this coming out like this. So I'll just put a little adhesive here and put this here, like, no, I want it to be up here. There we go. And then this is the end that's going to go on. So I'm going to now put on some adhesive there. And I'm going to add this piece and just hold it for a moment. And then I can do the same thing, close it, and just give it a little pressure. And there we go. We've got our 2 pop-ups inside. So before I put on the belly band, I'm going to turn this over, add some adhesive. If I wanted to stamp another greeting, I would probably write on this before I put it on the card if I was making this from scratch. Let's just see if I can get this centered. There we go. Okay, so now what I have to decide is, do I want my front of the card sitting this way or this way? Because it all is going to be determined based on how I put my belly band. I want to make sure I have my card so it's going to open right. So I'm going to take my belly band, and this is just going to help me get it in place. And I'm going to cut a little bit off. That's going to be covered up by the label that I made. I'm going to just give it a nice crease. I want my seam to be in the front. Make sure I still haven't changed it. And I'm going to attach this with some adhesive. So this will slide back and forth. And now I'm going to, oh, I forgot, did I forget to put, well, I have an extra one. I thought I used all of them up. Okay, so this is going to, with these glue dots, go right down on my belly band. And then we just have one thing left to do. This fold takes a little longer to do, but as you can see, it's a pretty special one. So there's our belly band. It slides right off so that you can open up the card, and then you can close it back and put the card right back in. Okay, so now I just want to put a little bling on. So one of the other things that I haven't shown you yet about this suite are the Regal foiled adhesive back dots. So we have them in 4 different colors, and I think I'm going to use the darker ones. They look more like the Blackberry Bliss, but I think it will go with this paper nicely. So I'm going to first start by going in the center of the Night of Navy Flowers, and then I am going to put one right on, well, 2 right on the label. And there is tonight's fun fold. I hope you enjoyed this fun fold. I had a lot of fun making it. I really, really like this this fold, and I think it's unique and will really make the recipient happy to get it. So again, the fun fold closes like this and opens up like into a box. This is a great way to showcase your designer series paper, and a great way to show someone that they are very special. Well, that's it for tonight. I'll be back Sunday night for Simply Stamping Sunday. And again, I'll be back next Friday night for another edition of Fun Fold Friday. I hope you have a great weekend and a great week ahead, and I'll see you next Friday. Good night, everybody.